And you've helped me and my business and my guys grow substantially, as well as Ronnie and the entire playbook, dude. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you hopping on here. And guys, everybody drop some fire emojis in the chat for Zac.
Well, hey,
But
dude,
dude,
I know you got some questions. Thank you for having me. And I wanted everyone on this call, you could not be with a better group within FFL, being with Ronnie, with Drew, with the whole crew. It's been cool because Ronnie gives me a lot of props for helping mentor him, but I've learned as much, if not more, from him than he's learned from me. So you guys couldn't be with a better team, better leadership team, and y'all are growing, like Drew said, faster than anybody else in the entire company right now. And it's just a testament to everyone kind of rowing the boat the same direction. Great trainings, great systems, great leadership. So if I can get on and give back in any way today, I'm happy to be here. But I just am incredibly proud of this team, proud of leadership, and most proud about how hard all the agents on here work every single day. Because the people that sell to be in the top 20, to be 41,000 in the top 20, like that's a testament to how hard the agents work every day and how much time, effort, energy, and resources you guys put in to training the agents, and also the agents put into taking care of the clients that we serve. So incredibly proud of this team, grateful to be here, and looking forward to getting on and giving back a little bit today.
absolutely, dude. And we're definitely stoked to hear a bunch of value. And I've got a loaded questions, and I know we're gonna get through them really quick here. But
Let's
just real
do it.
quick before we hop into those, how long have you been in the business now?
So this is my 8th year in the business.
Eighth year.
Started when I
Okay.
was 22. I just turned 30 this year. Yep.
That's sick, dude. That's awesome. So 8 years. What's the team volume at? What did we finish at last month?
Let's see. We finished August at 18 million and some change, which is crazy because in January of this year we were doing we did 8.9 million in January this year. So we've grown by $10 million a month for the year. So we're crossed over 100 million in life volume, and about 20 million in annuity volume. So finish the year around 100, probably about 175 million for the year is where we'll finish life production at.
Jesus, dude, that's a lot. Dude, whenever you started, you ever think you would have grown by over $10 million just in a year?
Dude, when I started, I was trying to figure out how I could get to 150K a month. And I didn't even think past that. And I was like, if I could just get to 150K a month, we'll have made it. And then I
Yeah.
think the great thing about doing calls like this and getting around people, and to your point, going to events like Ignite annual convention, is you get around other people who have built businesses that size. And I think you realize you're like, dude, they haven't done anything special. They haven't done anything that I can't figure out how to do. And your vision just continues to grow. But when I was new, I was like, if I could issue 30K a month personal production and 150 as a team, like, dude, I'll be rich, like this, I'll have made
Yeah.
it. And then I think your vision grows and your purpose grows, where you're not just trying to make money for you. You're trying to figure out how you can really serve people. And I remember, dude, what the biggest change was, like, I just fell in love with the process of selling a lot of insurance and training other agents to do well, training trainers to do well. And then all the money kind of became a really interesting byproduct, but it wasn't the goal. After you started making a little bit of money, it wasn't the goal anymore to make money. It was like, how do I replicate what I've done for myself for a bunch of other people? And then the money becomes a really crazy byproduct. But once it's not the goal, you make a lot more of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely like being in it as long as I've been in. I've only been in it a year, but being able to come in, not only do it for yourself, and then once you start to find out this is duplicatable and you can actually go help other people build their business, that's like the
Yeah.
real magic, because now you're not only helping more clients on the phone, but you're helping other people actually put food on the table for their family and build a bigger life, build a bigger dream, build a bigger vision. When was it that you attended your first event, and what was your first event with FFL?
So I started the very end, October of 2017 is when I started. My first event was annual convention of 2018. And I think that there was maybe 400 people at that event, maybe. And last year we had over 6,000 people at the event. I think this year we'll push 10,000 people. So the company's just grown tremendously since then. And something that's really crazy. So 2018 was my first full year in the business. Just for everyone for perspective, I issued 403,000 in personal production that year, which was number 3 in the entire company at that point. Like this year, that wouldn't be a top 200, I don't think. So I think it's a testament to a lot of the systems and processes that y'all have put in place, that the company's put in place, the training that we've kind of stumbled our way through, and then how this industry's changed from being in home, like getting on flights, knocking on people's doors, to doing everything virtually, where you can sit in an office, you can sit at home, you can sell on vacation, you can scale this business. Really, someone asked me the other day, guy who's bringing over a big solar team, he's like, what are the constraints you see in insurance now? I'm like, dude, I don't see any constraints, because the reality is only half of the people in the United States have life insurance. And the baby boomer market, which is most of who y'all sell to, the final expense clients, that market grows 10x the rest of the market for the next 10 years. And then after that, there's over 100 million people that have immigrated from out of the United States that are between the ages of 40 and 60 right now, that are all going to become that next wave of baby boomers. So this market is completely untapped. There's only half people that have life insurance, and people that have already bought life insurance, Drew, buy it 6 times throughout their life. So the only thing that's stopping us from scaling this is just not recruiting enough people, not bringing enough people into business, because there's no cap on the market and what we can do in this business. And if you asked me that 8 years ago, I would have been like, man, this is really difficult to scale because we're trying to figure out leads in one city, one county. Now that we're able to market nationwide, sell from Zoom, you can start at 7 in the morning in the East Coast and go all the way to Hawaii time. There's literally no cap on what you can build, scale, no cap on what you can sell. It's all just our self-imposed beliefs at this point.
Yeah, and that's one thing as a new agent that's really, really, really hard to wrap around, and it's really hard for
Yeah.
somebody like we're recruiting. But we really, some of us don't know how lucky we have it because we've only ever been in virtual sales, and we're not flying out to Michigan or to Colorado or freaking Alaska to go try and sell freaking insurance. Like we're doing it
Yeah.
from, dude, there's people making 30 grand a month from their freaking couch at this point. Like it's ridiculous and it's beyond the level of scalable. One more question about Ignite, and then we're gonna really
Yeah.
dive in, really building this thing. If we have a lot of new agents, we got like 250 people right now registered. A lot of new agents. This is going to be their first time attending any kind of event with FFL whatsoever. If there's one piece of advice, one thing that you can tell them to keep on their mind and stay laser focused on while they're down there, what would it be?
Yeah, I think like make sure you go to all the training, listen to all the training, take notes on all the training. I think going into what I always do and what I still do going into events is I sit down and I write out a list of like what are 3 or 4 things that I think, and I don't pick 10, but I'm like, what are 3 or 4 things that I need help with in my business? Do I need to be a better marketer? Do I need to be a better communicator? Do I need to be a better sales trainer? Do I need to learn how to sell at a high level? Do I need to learn how to recruit at a higher level? I figure out what the 3 or 4 most pressing things that I need to learn in my business are. I write them down, and then I would either like now I know most people that work here, but when I was new, I would call all the people that have been at the company for a while and go like, "Hey, who's the best person you have at marketing? Or who's the best person at the company at marketing? Who's the best person at recruiting? Who's the best person at recruiting warm market? Who's the best person at recruiting cold market?" And then I would get a few names for all of those different people. And then at the event, I would see them on stage or I would see their name tag or whatever. And I'd go up to them and be like, "Hey, Drew told me that you're incredibly good at recruiting warm market. Like, what are 1 or 2 tips you have for recruiting warm market? Like, how do you start your conversation? What does your elevator pitch sound like? Or, hey, Grady, like, I've seen you do a lot of amazing marketing stuff. You have a great YouTube channel. Like, what are 1 or 2 tips you have for me where I can grow my presence online and be a better marketer for my team?" So I would always go into the meeting with a very specific game plan of things I wanted to accomplish. And I wouldn't have 15, 20 things. Like, pick 2 or 3 or 4 things that are most pressing in your business. And then get with Ronnie, get with me, get with Drew, get with someone who know who to ask those questions to. Go up to them, be like, "Hey, man, I have 2 questions for you. Take 30 seconds and have your notepad out and be ready to write it down." And I remember Sean said this early on. He's like, these trips are business trips. The people that will succeed and get something out of these are the people that will go in with a game plan and want to get something out of it. The people that will not grow from these trips and it'll just be wasted money are the people that go there and want to go drink and hang out and party with their friends for 2 or 3 days. So it's your choice. If you want to get something that'll help you 10x your income out of it, you have to approach it like a business meeting. If you want to just go there and hang out with your friends and go to the beach, then you'll get nothing out of it. And you might as well not even go on the trip at all.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And a lot, every time that I go to one of these events, I'm always very intentional going into it. And every time that I leave it, I've been lucky enough to hit one like every 3 months that I've been in the business. Every 3 months, my income doubles because of what I get to go to these events, learn, come back, implement, and be super intentional about implementing and get myself to the next level. But without further ado, I do want to get into scaling this thing and absolutely building a huge vision and taking this thing to the freaking next level, growing an $18 million freaking agency. So my first question is, when it comes to scaling, what's the most common mistake you see within a specific group or a specific leader, the guy taking charge of a group? What's the thing that they mess up the most?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. So one thing that people do wrong a lot is you say you're at like 150,000 a month, right? what a lot of people do is they get their first like 5, 10, 15 writers, and then they want to sit there and just like only talk to those people. And I think the name of the game is being able to duplicate yourself. So like my whole ideology behind like building a business is you want to train the trainers, right? So that you can replicate, and to your point, like have scalability. And what I mean by that is when you're building a team out, you should be looking for and bringing on people constantly so that you can identify like who your two, three, four, five best people are. And if you look at the leaderboard, like our leaderboard last month, our top 50 people were all over 55K for the month. Okay. That top 50 people makes up like $4.5 to $5 million. I think $5.5 million of volume. So like our top less than 1% make up $5 million of volume. Okay. So I know for me, I'm like, if I focus on those people and teach them how to replicate everything I know from a recruiting standpoint, from a business building standpoint, from a delegation, staffing, if I teach those people, the top performers, how to do that, then they can replicate what I'm doing. So I think what a lot of people do wrong, Drew, is they take, say you have a team of 15 people, they go and they take their bottom 10 or 12 people and they try to get those people to sell more. My goal is this, is like my goal is to have the the new people who are started. I'm not working with them if unless they're making the right amount of dials, spending the right amount on leads, and working the right amount of hours. I'm not talking about anything. And any question they ask me, I revert them back to, are you making the right amount of dials? Are you spending the right amount on leads? And if they're doing those two things, then I'll work with them on their sales. But my goal is to spend 90% of my time with my top 10% of the people. And I know that if I spend my time with those people, they can replicate what I've learned in the business. So my goal is to take those, instead of trying to make everyone do more, my goal is to focus my time, effort, energy on the top people I have and teach them how to recruit 5 people a week. Teach them how to take 2 or 3 out of the 5 people they recruit a week and get them to be 10, 15, 20, 30K producers. And then teach them how to take their 30K producers and turn them into 60K producers. Because I know that if I spend time with the people that are top performers, I'll get way outsized returns and be able to scale the business way up. But what most people do is they try to drag everyone who's not performing at a high level, not working hard, and get them to do more. An old adage I heard was it's easier to run with 100 people than it is to carry two, right? So I want to run with the runners and walk with the walkers. Meaning if someone's selling 5K a month and they're showing up to the office or showing up to Zoom at 12 o'clock and making 100 dials for the day, like my only advice to that person is show up tomorrow at 8 o'clock, make the right amount of dials, keep track of your appointments, and keep track of your data so I can tell you what you're doing wrong. But I think what a lot of people do is they spend an hour with that person, listen to all their problems, listen to all their life problems. And it's impossible for you to scale a business if you're giving attention to the wrong people. And what a lot of people do is if they don't have anyone that are the right people, they just spend all this time with the wrong people. So my advice is if you're there, and you should look at it like this, like you should be able to categorize your people into A, B, and C players. Like a C player is someone that if you have a C player on your team, if they quit, you wouldn't care at all. You'd be like, thank God they quit. That guy or girl is a pain in my ass, right? A B player is like someone like if they quit, you'd be like, well, that sucks. Like they sold some insurance, but we'll be okay. And an A player, if an A player quits, you're like, oh shit, how did I let this person quit? Like they're incredibly valuable to my team. Like I can't believe that they're quitting, right? And if you're on this call right now and you don't have anybody that's an A player, what that tells you is that you need to go back and start recruiting, and your main goal should be talent acquisition and be constantly feeding the pipeline full until you have some A players. And then when you're thinking of your team, you want to be spending 90% of your time with your A players, probably 7.5% of your time with your B players, and like 2% of your time with your C players. And your goal with your C players is just get them to go do the right amount of activity and do the right amount of work so that they become B players so that you have more time to work with them. And my goal always is like get the C players to be B players, get the B players to be A players. And when you have A players, spend all your time, effort, energy on them because you'll have the most outsized returns working with those people.
Gotcha. And then your time spent with the A players, that doesn't have to be selling because obviously if you're an A player, you can sell. So you're
Yeah.
just teaching them how to duplicate themselves, how to train, and how to recruit, right?
Yeah. And I think the thing with recruiting that's difficult is for top salespeople, like we're used to seeing like, okay, like I get my leads for today. I make 400 dials. I close 4 appointments. I get deposited 6 grand in 2 days, right? Like it's very instant gratification. With building, it's a lot slower where you're putting in a ton of effort up front and you're not seeing the return for a long time. And the best example I've heard of this, like to kind of illustrate this, is has anyone as have you heard this example, Drew, about like would you rather have a penny that doubles every day for 30 days or $3 million today?
Yeah.
Okay, so like if I asked everyone that, like I'm sure someone in here would rather take the $3 million today, right? And if you look at it, like, does anyone have a guess after 20 days, how many, if the penny doubles every day for 20 days, how much money you have after 20 days? Someone drop in the chat. Don't look it up. Don't use ChatGPT. Just guess what you would have.
Someone knows. Who's got a guess? Drop it in the chat right
What,
now.
what would your guess be? What would your, no, not, what would your guess be,
No,
Drew, after 20
it's,
days?
I think it's something like doubled every day. I think it's something like
Yeah,
$8
penny
million.
doubles every day. No, penny doubles every day for 20 days. You only have $5,243. Okay. But then by day 30, you have $10,737. Okay. And so think about this. By day one, you have 1 cent. By day five, you have 16 cents. By day 20, you have $5,000. By day 30, you have $10 million. Okay. And the reason I say that is that's what building a business is like, is you put in a ton of effort up front, but you just have to understand that you have the magic penny that keeps doubling. And eventually you're going to hit it and have that big pop. What most people do is they get discouraged and they stop recruiting, or they only keep working with the few people they have because they're at day 20. They're like, dude, I've done all this work for 20 days and I'm only at $5,000. Like, I'm just going to ship it in and be done. Right. Or you're starting to sell and you're like, dude, I've been making $500 a day for 2 months. I'm going to be done. And like, what I urge everyone to do is like, don't stop. Like, you're right here on the curve. And if you give it a little more time, you're going to pop. What most people do when they're building a business is they're like, dude, I've recruited all these people. This guy quit. This girl quit. This person rolled me debt. All this crap happened. And I'm like, yeah, but you're at the $5,000 mark. Like, if you keep going for 10 more days, you're going to be at $10 million. So don't stop. Just keep grinding and understand that this business is the magic penny that keeps doubling every single day. You just have to give it time. And dude, there's people like Ronnie who do it way faster and their magic penny doubles faster and they hit it faster. Dude, there's people like me who I didn't hit $1 million a month in the business until my 4th year in the business. But then years 4 through 8, we went from $1 million to we'll be at $20 million a month in the next couple months, right? So it took me a little bit longer, but I just kept grinding, 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 and knew eventually I would hit that turning point. My penny would start doubling, and I would go from here to here. And then if it keeps doubling from there, then you go 10 million, 20 million, and it just exponential returns, right? And I think most people just like they just quit right before the good stuff happens. And with recruiting, you have to just keep filling the pipeline full, throwing the pipeline full. And if you look at our organization, dude, out of the $18,500,000 we did last month, that only goes through 30 people. I have 31 people direct to me, right? So there's been tens of probably hundreds of thousands of people that have been recruited in the business. I've worked with lots of people. Lots of people have came in, lots of people have quit. But it only takes one Wiley, one Drew, one Mahmood, one Ronnie to change your one Easton to change your business, one Juan Franco to change your business and have an insane trajectory. But most people get so emotionally tied to every person that comes in, out, and quits. What I would urge everyone to do is just really think about it like a business. Keep putting people in, keep doing the right thing, keep following the system that the playbook's put in place for you. And eventually you'll have that pop and it'll all make sense. And you'll look back and you'll be like, dude, I remember feeling like, and I remember as clear as day, dude, like 3, 4 years in the business being like, I've put in all this effort. I've been working 80 hours a week, every single week. I'm doing the right things. I'm learning from people. Why am I not there yet? And then I remember 6 months later, I went from making like 30 grand a month net to like 150 grand a month net. It just seemed like it happened overnight. So my message to everyone on this call would be keep doing the blocking and tackling, keep doing the recruiting, keep selling your 30K a month. And eventually it'll pop. And all of a sudden you'll be like, I can't even remember what it was like to not be making 150, 200, 300 grand a month. It just happens overnight. But most people give
Right.
up right before the good stuff happens, you know?
That's uh that's the same thing Wiley Hawkins always told me. He's like, dude, have you ever seen the image of the guy that's in the mine and he's got the pick and he's going and he stops right before he gets all the diamonds. That's
Yeah.
what I see a lot of people do, and that's kind of what you were saying. But now that's huge. The one thing that you mentioned is if you don't have a bunch of guys, performing at a high level, your focus should be talent acquisition, right? So like
Hmm.
whenever it's time to grow, not organically, because you don't have the people, well, it's time to grow by acquisition. How do you
Yeah.
focus on not just throwing a freaking headset on a dog, but getting the right people into your business? And when is it time to get the right people and when's it time to literally put a headset on anybody?
Yeah. I think I think when you're new and so like now where we're at, like when I'm recruiting people, like I'm telling people I'm only recruiting people direct to me that are looking to build a big business because that's where I am in the business. Now, when I had 2 agents on my team, I wanted to recruit everybody and give everyone a chance, right? And I think people try really hard to pre-qualify people and they go like, is this guy going to be good? Is this girl going to be good? And the reality is, like, if you looked at the top producers on the team, I bet you when they first started, a lot of them, if you looked at them, you would have gone like, I don't know if that guy or girl is gonna be very good. So my goal is to just cast a wide net, bring a lot of people in, and then let the system do its thing and filter out the right people, right? And so I knew, like, I got really good at knowing my numbers and being able to backtrack out where we were and where we wanted to get to in business. So in 2020, we started that year at 150,000 for the year. And by the end of that year, we hit $1 million. Okay. And my goal, that was my goal for the year, was to start at we were at 150. I'm like, how do I get to $1 million a month by the end of the year? And I was like, all right, let me just backtrack this all out and see how many agents it will take. And I looked at it and I'm like, all right, to get to $1 million a month, let's say I need 100 issue paid writers. Let's just say it's 10, because I always like to take worst case scenario numbers. Right? I mean, let's say that everyone sucks at selling insurance and we don't have the highest issue paid per writer like we have. Let's just take the average numbers. And so I was like, all right, so I need to add 100 writers by the end of the year. Okay. 52 weeks in the year, I got to add 2 writers every single week. Okay. And then I looked at what our numbers were and I was like, well, if I put 10 people in class, a month later, I usually get 3 people out of class from those people. So instead of me trying to get better there, I was like, okay, like let me just make sure I get 10 people into class every single week so I know I'll get 3 out. And I knew if I got 3 people that were getting licensed that were licensed and contracted for the week, I could get 2 of them to issue business, right? I knew that was my numbers. Everyone's numbers might be a little bit different. So then we backtracked it farther and I was like, okay, for me to get 10 people to say yes and get signed up for the class, buy their license or buy their test, sign up for their test and actually start the course, how many people does that take? And it took us like 35 interviews a week to do that. So my whole goal, Drew, it didn't become like, how do I get better at converting people that are in the class getting licensed? It didn't become like, how do I make sure all 3 of my people that get licensed sell at a high level? I became laser focused on how do I talk to 35 people a week, right? And then I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, I can get 5 to 7 people from warm market, from people at the gym, from people I run across when I'm out in public. I can get another 5 or 6 people from tap rooting. So like from people that Wiley hired or you hired or Easton hired, I can help them hire more people. So then I still need another 15 people to 20 people a week, right? So what cold market, what reach out can we do? Can we do DMs on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, wherever else? And then that would give me another 5 to 7 people I could talk to a week. And then for me to get the other 10 people I needed, I started running some ads, you know? And I think people always want to fall in love with one type of recruiting or the other. For me, it didn't matter. I'm like, I just want the 35 people to talk to a week from whatever source they come from. Because I know the 35 people will give me 10 people in class every single week. I know the 10 people in class every single week will give me a month later 3 people to get licensed. And I know those 3 people will give me 2 writers, which will give me 100 writers by the end of the year. And when I ran that play for the entire year and just talked to 35 people every single week, we ended up getting to we finished the year at like 1.1 million in December that year. We were like 900,000 in November. We hit $1 million in December. And it worked out exactly that way. Now, what I didn't account for is that from December through December through March of that next year, we went from 1 million to 2 million because I started working really heavily with the top people I had. I started spending a lot of time with Easton, Wiley, Juan, like the few top writers I had at the time, and taught those guys to do the same thing. And then what happened was those guys started all replicating. And instead of us just growing linearly like this, we started growing exponentially because everyone was growing the boat the same direction, the same way that your guys' team is now, where everyone's doing the same thing every single week. So my advice is everyone should know, like, the way everyone knows their sales numbers, which is like, if I get X amount of leads, I make Y amount of calls, I'll get Z amount of sales per week. Everyone needs to do the same analysis on what they're doing for recruiting to know, hey, if I talk to 10 people, if out of those 10 people, how many of those people can I get into class? And then from the people that get into class, how many of those people actually get out of class? And then figure out what the numbers are. And instead of trying to get better at any little piece of it, the same way we teach sales, Drew, right? Is like, we're not like, hey, how do you get better and convert every single sale? It's like, we're going to get better at that over time by doing reps. But what do we tell new agents when they go, hey, I want to go from 30K to 60K? It's like, dude, buy more leads, right? And if you buy more leads, then you'll get better at sales and eventually you'll be able to cut down on the amount of leads you have. So instead of people trying to go like, hey, how do I perfect every single interview? It's like, if you present this opportunity to enough people and go, hey, we sell life insurance, we work with a bunch of carriers, we call people who are interested in the product, you make $800 per sale, you could build a team if you want to. If you have that conversation with 35 people a week, you're going to have some people that say, yep, I want to do that. Part-time, full-time, what? You're going to have some people that say, I want to do that. Tell me more about what you're doing. And then you can have Drew or Ronnie or Mahmood or whoever else or Caleb, anyone on your team, you can have them help you convert that person. But the goal for new people or even someone who's at like 150K shouldn't be like, how do I become the perfect interviewer? How do I become the perfect marketer? It's like, no, how do I do enough activity, make a giant mess of this thing, and then refine the process later? Because if you show this opportunity to enough people, then you'll find a Ronnie, you'll find a Drew, you'll find a Caleb, you'll find a Wiley in there somewhere, someone who goes, dude, I don't even care how much of a mess this is. This business is badass. I'm gonna make it work either way. And the more reps you can do, the more of those people you'll find, and then you'll have your starting five. And your goal should always be like, how do I keep bringing in new people and keep upgrading my starting five to go from like a little league starting five to a high school JV team to a varsity team to a college team to a pro team to all pro team, right? And my goal still is how do I keep bringing in new people to elevate the talent of our overall team to where we have a NBA starting five team? How do we get to, an all world starting five team, right? And just keep elevating the talent we have on our team. Because the reality is, there's a lot of people on our team who are much better at this business than I am. My job is just to find a lot of people, introduce them to the business, be there to guide, support, mentor them, and let them do their thing and be creative and build stuff like you guys have been able to build.
Yeah. And that's huge, dude. I remember whenever you told me, I came down and we did a podcast, and I remember I asked you, said a lot of people, I see a lot of people get in this business and they get around that 300 mark level right now. And you can see like the Elite 10 leaderboard, we're all like just right above the 300K level. And when I
Yeah.
was there, I asked you, I'm like, what do you see a lot of people fail at? And you're like, they start to try to do everything and perfect everything on their own instead of find Colby Whitaker, Blake Lawson, three other people in their business and replicate themselves there and not try to do, because you got to know your numbers, right? And that's what you were telling me. You were like, you have to have conversations with 35 people a week because you reverse engineer your numbers, right? So know your numbers, but don't think that you have to be the person that does all 35 freaking interviews. You can do 10.
Yeah.
If you get this guy to do five, this guy to do five, this guy to do two, and this guy to do four, bang, you're at 35. You know what I mean? And you only did 10 of it,
Yeah.
but you delegated it and you showed other people how to do it. And that's where a lot of people fail and go backwards is because they don't delegate. They don't have somebody else that's moving the needle with them. And they don't know how to identify, they don't know how to correctly identify the top 10% that they spend 90% of their time with, which is a freaking absolute amazing tip, which has helped me build my business. So I appreciate that conversation. And then one thing I wanted to touch on before we go here is how to build the business, not only scale it as quick as we've been able to scale it like in the recent times, but how do we build it profitably? Because a lot of times we can see people come in and they don't follow the systems and it's just a big mess and then it's not profitable. How do you build this business bulletproof and profitable?
Yeah, I think I think the only way that people get into the trap of having an unprofitable business is they have they have one leg or one person that grows really fast, right? That person eventually gets close to you in comp or catches up to you in comp, and they've never recruited anyone else, right? So like the thing I had, which held me really accountable, was I had staff people that were dedicated to recruiting, and we always had ads running, always had people coming in, and I have someone that helps with recruiting all the time, a full-time recruiter, and their job is just to fill up the schedule and to have the 35 people coming in no matter what. Because I know the way to have a profitable business is always have new people coming in, always take new directs. Like, dude, on Monday this week, Drew, and people are like, you still take directs? I'm like, of course I take directs. Like, how could I tell Drew he should take direct agents if I don't take direct agents still? Right. Like I had a guy with a big solar team I flew in, met with for the entire day because I still want to take direct agents because that's the fastest way to have a profitable business. The only way you can run into a trap is if you get one team up and rolling and then spend all your time, effort, energy with that team and then never move on to anyone else. Right. And there's been a bunch of times in our business where different teams have been a bigger portion of my business. Like the first 3 years in the business, dude, Easton was like 45% of my team, right? And then I got him to where he was in a really good place, crushing it. And then I was able to spend more time with Wiley. And then Wiley's team's like 40% of our business now. And then I get to spend time with other people now because Wiley, Ronnie, you guys have it on lock. I can get on and do a call once in a while, teach a few things that they've already probably said to you, just comes from a different voice, but I can get on and spend a few hours with you guys and then work with new people because I feel like I've done a good enough job teaching these guys and getting them to a place where they can run their business on their own. And they can come to me if shit hits the fan and bullets are flying and they don't know what to do, they'll call me. But outside of that, like they know what to do because I spent enough time with them because I decided to dedicate my time to my top people to get them to where they're in a sustainable place. And then I can work on bringing on new legs. So my goal is always this, Drew, is to bring on people to see who can get to like 10, 15, 20K a month kind of on their own with just putting in the right amount of activity, buying leads, and be able to get to 15K a month. And then once they're at 15, my goal is to get people that are in that box of 15 to 20 to get them to 30 to 40, 50, somewhere in that range. And then once I get them doing 30, 40, 50, then I get those people to start recruiting. And my goal is to get the person that I got from 15 to 40 to get to like 200 grand a month. And my goal is to spend enough time with them, not just telling them what to do, but telling them why we do certain things. Telling them, hey, the reason that we do big events like Ignite is because there's 222 people on this call, right, Drew? Like if you, me, and Caleb and Ronnie had to spend time teaching everything to all 222 people on this call for the next week, it would take a shitload of time. It'd be really annoying, right? But we do big events like Ignite because that's leverage right there, where we have all the best trainers in the company for a full day, being able to tell everyone everything they know about the business in a full day period and train all 222 people on this call. That's called leverage right there, right? So teaching people like, hey, we're not just telling you to get your agents to Ignite to check a box. We're getting you to get all your agents to Ignite so that all 200 people on your team can get trained the same day. So you have to spend less time training them all individually. Then you can focus on your top people, you know? And I think one of the things I learned, Drew, is there's a big difference between just like telling people what to do and then telling them what to do, but then slowing down enough and having the foresight to tell them the why behind it. Because I don't drop everyone could drop a one in the chat if they agree. Like I was someone who I'm willing to do whatever if I know the reason behind it. But if I don't know the reason why I'm doing something, dude, I'm not very apt to do that, right? So I knew for me, like, okay, I would always piss Sean off because he would tell me to do something. I'd be like, sounds good, I'll definitely do it. Why are we doing it? And then eventually he learned to coach me by just saying, like, I know you're gonna ask why, so let me just explain it to you, right? And I learned with all of the top performers, like, dude, we'll run 100 miles per hour at something if we know what we're doing and the reason behind it. So when anyone's building a team, that's why I say it's really important to focus on your top 10, 20% of your people, because you can have a 30, 45-minute conversation and say, hey, here's the game plan, here's what we're doing, and here's the why behind it, and here's how big of an impact it'll have on your business. And you have 45 minutes to spend with that person. But if you're trying to have that same conversation with 30 people on your team, but there's only 5 of them that are selling 20, 30K a month, you're wasting your breath on the people that aren't performing at the top level because they don't need to think about top level business stuff. They just need to put in the right amount of activity, start buying leads, and then you can graduate them eventually up to the people that need to learn the top level business stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, dude. And that's huge whenever you're able to leverage people. And I think that's probably goes into my next question, which is our last question here, real quick. I know we're about to go. Um, is leveraging people, leveraging other people in your business to develop other leaders. If you had to give us with the last question here, and we'll wrap it up, what is the number one way that you develop leaders in your business?
Yeah. I think I think a lot of times when you're building a business, like you're so used to having control of every little aspect. Like you can get to like two, three, 400 grand by micromanaging the shit out of your business and having control of every little aspect. But what I've learned from Sean is the way to develop leaders is to delegating things to people and letting them try and then letting them fail on their own and learn from it, right? So like at one point, fair enough, like Ronnie ran all of these calls at one point, right? Drew, he did every single call on here. He ran all the calls, he did all the interviews, and he talked to every single person, and no one else was able to get on and interview anybody. But then at some point, like we talked, I'm like, dude, how do you develop leaders? Like you let Drew get on the call, and the first time Drew does the call, will he get on and say the F word 36 times and act like a crackhead on methamphetamine? Like probably, because that's who Drew is. But then when he does that and messes it up, then you can talk to him and go, hey man, we're running a real business here. Can you interview people without using the F word every other word and without acting like you took 36 Adderall this morning? Right. And then next time you get on and you do the call better, right? So it's not about everything being perfect. It's about putting people in a position to where they can succeed or fail, and then you can coach them along the way and help build them up. Because there's no way to build leaders unless you put them into a spot where they have a chance to train, where they have a chance to run their own meeting. Dude, I remember there was a meeting, and when I started doing this, it's painful because you watch someone else do it, and you're like, I can this. It's like watching a car crash in slow mo. You're like, I can see exactly how this is about to go. This is not going to go good. And I remember just having to sit there, and you just have to let people do it. And the best example I have of this is I used to run all the meetings we had in Denver for a long time. I had Easton run one. This was probably 3 years ago. I'm like, all right, man, we're doing a meeting in Denver. You figure it out. And he was like, well, where should I book? What hotel should I book it at? I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like, just figure it out. You can do it. I trust you. Right. So he booked the hotel, all the stuff. And Like it was driving me crazy because I'm like, all right, like where's the promotion? Where's the agenda? Where's the speakers meetings? Like who's coming to the meeting? Do you have like a registration list out? Like none of that stuff, right? We go to the meeting, we show up, there's like 8 people there. We have a room of that fits like 60 people, there's like 8 people there, right? And I go, okay. We do the meeting. I'm like, dude, the meeting was good. I mean, the hotel room was good. Like, where do you think you messed up along this process? And then he was like, we didn't promote it well. I didn't have people register. I didn't ask trainers to come in. I planned it all last minute, right? And I could have, Drew, like gone the whole time along the way and been like, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. But like he would have learned nothing from me doing that, right? So instead, I just let him run the meeting. I let it be a shit show. I let us learn a lesson from it. Then 3 months later, we do another meeting. There's 220 people at the meeting in Denver, right? And I let him do that one too. And then when we did the meeting, people were like, hey, thanks. I'm like, dude, I didn't do anything for this meeting. Easton did the whole thing. So thank him. But that's how you build leaders up. You let them fall on their face a little bit. You let them go through something. At the end of the day, you go, dude, it's all good. I've messed up a ton of meetings too. I've screwed all kinds of things up, but it's not that big of a deal. We'll do better next time, you know? And that's how you elevate people and let them know, like, dude, whether or not like it goes perfect or goes terrible, I believe in you either way. I got your back and we're going to move forward. We're going to learn from this. And we're going to get better next time, you know? And by putting people in a position to succeed or fail, then you'll see, dude, people that are accountable want to get better and want to do better and want to elevate themselves will tell you like, hey, I need help. Like, what do I need to do better next time? And then you go, cool, I have a leader. Someone else who like is like, dude, I don't ever want to do anything like that again. You're like, no problem, dude. Sounds good. Like, and you just know next time I try it with somebody else and see who the next leader will be. But leaders show themselves. You don't have to find them. Like leaders will elevate themselves in that position. They'll want to take on the challenges. They'll want to take on extra work. They'll want to help with meetings. They'll want to help run calls. Like I'm sure at one point you went to Ron, you're like, dude, can I run a couple calls at some point? Right? Like, hey, can I
For
run a
sure.
meeting? Can I host a call? And he's like, sure, do it. Let's see what happens. And then he gives you feedback and then lets you do it again. And you get better at it. And you feel better about yourself because you know that Ronnie trusts you to run important meetings like this, right?
Yeah. That's absolutely huge, dude. Thank you so much for hopping on. I know I gained a ton of value, dude. I'm excited to see you out in Ignite. I know you got to run here. Unfortunately, guys, we're not going to open it up to questions, but Zach, I absolutely do. I appreciate you hopping on, and I cannot wait to
Cool.
see you down there. Appreciate everybody hopping
Appreciate
on.
y'all.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
guys.
Later.